G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/legal advice video. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good legal advice. Now, our first post today is by user -cottage-, titled, Toronto, landlord let cleaners into my condo without consent, $1,700 worth of property stolen. So, I just moved from one rental condo to another here in Toronto. I have the original condo until March 31st. Since I had both units for a whole month, I had left some things behind to move more over at my leisure. Earlier this week, my property manager confirmed with me he would be doing his inspection on March 31st, which is tomorrow 4 years ago. I agreed and told him I would go leave the keys at the concierge for him to pick up on the 30th, and that I had a few items there that I was still dealing with. Today is the 30th, and I went to collect the last of my belongings and drop off the keys. They are gone, and there are a bunch of cleaning supplies there. No cleaning has been done. So I call the property manager and ask where my stuff is, and why is there cleaning stuff in the condo? I did not give consent for anybody to enter prior to the 31st. He says he will call the cleaners and call back. He calls back 15 minutes later and says, there was a scheduling error on the cleaner's part. They accidentally thought your items were garbage and threw them away. Naturally, I lost my crap. He kept putting it on the cleaners, and I insisted that he was at fault for providing access to my condo without consent to a person who stole from me. He facilitated theft in my opinion. Anyway, it is an actual property management company and not just one person. I don't at all trust them to repay me the $1,700 for my stolen items. I sent them a list and he said he would review it with their team tomorrow morning and respond immediately. I'm going to call the tenant board in the morning, and I'm not sure if I should file a police report tonight or wait and see what happens tomorrow. Advice on that would be good, but I'm mostly looking for someone to tell me what I can expect if they don't reimburse me. Do I take them to small claims court? Take the cleaners to small claims? Both? Do I stand a chance on getting the full amount through the process? Thanks for any help. So, I would start by itemizing everything that was lost, its replacement value, and send a polite demand letter to the landlord to pay for the items. I would also send the same letter to the cleaning company. Both have contributed to the fault here, the cleaning company by showing up to the wrong date, and the property management by letting them in. I'm not so sure the LTB would have jurisdiction over this matter. You can call them, or go to the office and speak to a duty counsel who should be able to give you a quick answer. I'm also not sure if the police would do anything. You can try calling anyway, but if both the landlord and cleaners were mistaken, then it's negligence. There was no criminal intent and the police won't care. Your most likely route would be the small claims court, and if your demand letter doesn't work, you can file a claim. Again, I would file against both the cleaners and the landlord because, if you're unsuccessful, they will both be held jointly and severally liable, meaning you can collect from either. I'd suggest getting in touch with Law Help Ontario, who are located at the 47 Shepherd Street East Courthouse, before you start your claim. They should be able to give you 30 minutes of free legal advice. Thank you for taking the time to write this. This is super helpful. I'll have to find out the name of the cleaning company when I talk to the property manager tomorrow, and I will send the same list I sent to the PM. My hopes aren't high for the police doing anything, but I did make contacts just so I can say I did in the future if needed. This is a civil issue, not a criminal issue. Police are the wrong party. I figured as much. The officer that took my report down said they may assist in obtaining security camera footage from my building if they won't give it to me directly. I still think that is a long shot, and she was telling me what I wanted to hear. I'm just trying to not leave any stone unturned. I cannot help but think if your things were worth that much, they were not discarded but taken home by the cleaners. You might find out who they work for and let them know what the situation is. Yeah, same. I checked the dumpsters in the garbage room and none of it was there. There are cameras in the building and garbage room that I'm going to at least attempt to get police to obtain or get building security to give to me. That's probably a long shot though. But as far as items go, there was a $400 USD made-to-measure leather jacket and a brand new in original packaging iPad smart cover. Some other obviously valuable things as well that nobody in their right mind would put in the garbage. No offense, but those items don't sound particularly obviously expensive. A coat and a $40 boxed item? What exactly did they throw away of obvious value? OP didn't answer that question. Do you have any tenant's insurance? If so, they are your first call. If not, go buy it. It's pretty cheap. I do. Will it be less of a headache to try to get money out of the insurance company for stolen property than it will be to pursue the property management company responsible? They have even admitted to me verbally that they allowed the cleaner access. I would provide the property management company a detailed list of the possessions and demand a replacement as per this post. Give them a time deadline for a response. If they don't respond in a timely fashion and replace everything, or provide appropriate monetary compensation, I would then sue them in small claims court, which in Ontario is pretty easy to navigate and covers large dollar amounts. Thanks for the input. I called the insurance company and made a record file with them. I have a $1,000 deductible and would be subject to a rate increase when I renew in November. So, getting the money that way is a non-starter. I gave the detailed list with values to the property manager a few hours ago. They say they will respond in the morning. I'm going to call the tenant board first thing, then the property manager's office second to talk directly to the owner, or as high up as I can get. The property manager has already verbally confirmed to me that he allowed a third-party cleaner, which was never discussed with me, into the condo on a date that was never confirmed with me, and he confirmed that cleaner admitted to discarding my belongings. So if they don't reimburse me in full, I'm taking them to the Smalls Claims Court on principle. Alright, so there's one update here. There's a lot more updates, but we're going to rehash over a lot of points I think that were just made. Update. Police report has been filed. They have to assign a detective to it before anything happens on their end. They told me to follow up tomorrow and indicated they may assist in attaining security footage if necessary. I'm not expecting much out of the police, as it has been indicated by posters here that this is a civil dispute. I contacted the cleaning company to find out what time they were there and get his version of events. He apologized, admitted fault in misunderstanding the schedule, and confirmed that he threw every item down to the garbage chute. Now I am definitely going to try to obtain the elevator security camera footage to see if that is true or not. I filed a T2 form this morning, on the 31st, with the tenant board, indicating an unlawful entry. Explained everything with dates and times. There is a section where you propose recourse, one of which is reimbursement for lost or damaged property. I listed each item as detailed as possible with values. They will schedule a hearing in 3 to 6 weeks. I can cancel this if the property manager settles with me before then. Property manager is having a meeting with their team this morning to discuss my list of stolen property. They are to respond by 12 PM today, 31st, and I told them if I don't hear from him, I'm calling him at 12. Update 2. I got a call back from the PM after their meeting. They discussed with the cleaner and the cleaner concedes it was his fault and is willing to pay. They said he doesn't make a lot of money and asked if I would accept their reduced amount. I told them the number I gave is what it will cost me to replace those items and I expect the full amount. The cleaning company should have insurance and I'm not made of money either. The property manager, I assumed, discussed with their legal counsel during the meeting. They are insistent they have zero fault in this situation as they have a work order with the cleaner for March 31st. I argued that I never agreed for anybody to enter on the 30th, and they facilitated the unlawful entry by handing over the keys. They want to work with me as a middleman to settle with the cleaner. I told them if he agrees to pay in full, that's fine. If not, I'm proceeding with my T2 claim against them with the tenant board, and we will have the hearing. They will discuss with the cleaner again today and let me know. Update. Toronto. Landlord let cleaners into my condo without consent, $1,700 worth of property stolen. This morning, the police called me back to file the police report. The case was sent to 14 Division and has to have a detective assigned to it before they proceed with anything. I'm supposed to call back tomorrow. They indicated they could attain security camera footage from the building if needed. Other than that, I don't expect much, as posters here have indicated this is a civil matter. I then called the property manager around 9 o'clock to get the name of the cleaning company and the time of entry. He didn't know the time, so I called the cleaner myself. He apologized for the confusion, said it was a scheduling mistake, and explained how tenants often leave stuff behind that he has to throw out. I told him the value of my belongings and ran him through the list when he questioned me. I told him to contact the property managers as they were meeting this morning, and I expect between the two of them that I will be reimbursed in full. Then I filled out a T2 form and submitted it to the tenant board. It says the reason for the complaint is unlawful entry by the landlord, and proposed remediation is reimbursement for lost or damaged property. I listed everything in detail and wrote out the whole story. The property manager's team had their meeting with legal counsel this morning. During this time, they contacted the cleaner. The cleaner admitted fault to them and offered to settle. The PM called me around noon to tell me this. The position of the property management company at this point is that they have a work order with the cleaner for March 31st, so they have no fault for their entry on the 30th and are not responsible for my lost items. They said the cleaner doesn't make much money and can only afford to pay a reduced amount. I told them that 1. I expect to be paid back for the full replacement costs of my belongings. 2. As far as I'm concerned, the property manager allowed access without permission to a third party without discussing it with me. They are responsible for the unlawful entry and ensuing theft of property. My issue is not just with the cleaner. He said he would call the cleaner again to see if he would pay for the full amount. From what I can see in the Ontario Landlord and Tenant Act, there is no provision for a landlord to hand the keys over to a third party without discussing with me first. A question I will be asking a lawyer is if the landlord is supposed to be present to physically unlock the condo. As a tenant, it feels like a violation of my privacy and rights to have an unknown person handed the keys to my home without me even knowing about it. I just got a call back from the property manager at about 6 p.m. He says the cleaner is offering $600. I tell him there's no chance I'm accepting anything but the full amount. Again, I reiterate that my issue is more with the management company than it is with the cleaner. He tells me that the cleaner will go through insurance and their attorneys will be real tough with me and expect receipts, etc. He says he was trying to do me a favor negotiating with the cleaner as a middleman. I told him he isn't the middleman. His company is at fault and I won't be individually battling the cleaner in small claims. I've already filed the T2 with the tenancy board against the property manager, and we will see what they award for damages from that hearing before any other avenues are pursued. Needless to say, this is now out of my wheelhouse as far as who I should go after for what. I think I'm on the right track going to the tenant board with the property manager and not chasing the third-party contractor I personally had no arrangement with. I will be contacting a lawyer tomorrow to make sure I get this moving in the right direction. Any thoughts or comments on whether I'm doing this right or not is appreciated. Not a lawyer. In my opinion, you're onto the right idea. You have a contract, so to speak, with the PM, not the cleaning company. As such, the PM is responsible to you. They don't get to slough off their contract with you to another party. If they then, after settling with you, want to go after the contractor for the breach of contract, that's on them. Not your contract, not your problem. In my business, it's not uncommon for the other trades to mess up my work. After fixing it, I then charge the company I did the work originally for. If they try and point me to the other trade that messed everything up to collect, it's a simple matter of contract dispute at that point. My dealing is with who I have a contract with and no one else. Keep your interactions along this train of thought, don't let them weasel out. Good job so far. Be sure that when you list what was stolen to be specific and use the brand names of things stolen. If you just put 3 pairs of jeans, an insurance claim will only pay for 3 pairs of the cheapest jeans they can find. However, if you put 3 pairs of Banana Republic relaxed fit jeans, you get the cheapest price they can find for Banana Republic relaxed fit jeans. No, I don't know clothing or if those are a thing. It's just an example. I say this because the payment will likely come from some sort of insurance. Either the property management company or the cleaners. Good luck. Perfunctory, I am not a lawyer. Luckily for me, the majority of the cost is in just a few clothing items that I know the brands and model numbers of, and have digital receipts for as they were bought online. I'll have no trouble proving the values of what was lost. Final update. What's up r/LegalAdvice? I have received some messages from people asking about how this ended, so I'm back with the final update on this thing. You may recall my last 2 threads. This is going to be long, there's a TLDR at the end. After those threads, I felt like I was probably correct in pursuing the landlord, but the comments were a bit of a mixed bag of advice. As I said I would, I sought counsel here in town. I saw a paralegal that was supposedly in this area of law, referred through the Law Society. What an enormous waste of time. After I explained the entire situation to the paralegal and how I didn't know if I should go after the property manager at the tenant board, or the cleaner in small claims court, or both in small claims, the guy basically despondently nodded and said, "Yeah, that's a real tough one. What do you want to do?" It was frustrating that a legal professional in Toronto couldn't give me any better direction than Reddit. I left no wiser than I arrived, and decided to just go through the process with the LTB and feel it out. It didn't feel worth my time or money to seek additional counsel. There was a preliminary hearing at the LTB in April where the property manager and I were each allowed to give our version of events, attempt mediation, and then the board member would determine if the case would go to a formal hearing. After telling my side of things, the property manager didn't dispute any of the events. The board member said that the cleaner was an agent of the landlord and advised the property manager they would be required to pay the damages to me that may be awarded. This was very good to hear, as it finally confirmed I was correct to go after the property manager and not the cleaner. The property manager was cooperative and was pleasant enough to deal with. The board member asked us if we would attempt a settlement. So far, the cleaner had offered $600, the property manager said they would add $400 to that for a total of $1,000. I said I would not take less than the full value of my items listed because I was confident I could prove their value beyond what they were offered at a hearing. No settlement was agreed on. That was unsurprising and made sense to me, even though the property manager was not contesting the events and was likely to be ruled against in a formal hearing. It was in their interest to make me prove the value of my stuff and get an order from the board for that amount. Then they could use the order to sue the cleaner later. If they settled, it could be difficult to get the money from the cleaner. At the end of the preliminary hearing, the board member took a statement of agreed facts to expedite our next hearing, since we didn't disagree on any of it. I'm not going to list any of them, but the gist of it is that they gave their copy of the key to the apartment to a third party without my consent, and they removed my belongings from the apartment. It was very clear that they weren't fighting me on that. The formal public hearing where the board would determine damages was a couple months later. I had receipts, mostly PayPal confirmation emails, for about $1,200 worth of my things that were taken. Then I had $400 worth of stuff where I had pictures of me wearing it with identifying brand markings and stuff showing, with printouts from the websites where it could be purchased to show the monetary value. Then about $200 worth of stuff where all I had was pictures, because they were irreplaceable items that I paid cash for. I had my girlfriend as a witness to what was taken and to confirm brands of clothing items. The full value of the items was over $1,800. I was expecting to be awarded $1,200 at least for the items I could prove exactly how much I paid for, which is why I didn't settle for $1,000 but wasn't confident about the rest of it. Before the hearings for the day started, the board member called out our names and said, "Are you sure you can't settle this one with a mediator this morning? I'm looking at the agreed facts here and..." He looked over at the landlord and kind of shrugged, as if to say the hearing is a formality at this point. Nonetheless, the landlord wouldn't budge on it, so we waited 4 hours until we were called up for our hearing. After we went through all the documents item by item, the property manager was given the floor. He tried to dispute the items that did not have receipts, specifically a pair of jeans worth over $300. Yes, seriously. The board member said that it's not a criminal case, and it's not up to me to prove beyond a reasonable doubt every single item that I listed. Referenced Maldonado vs. MEI, 1980. The burden of proof I had to meet for a civil matter like this was met through what I had provided, as the PM elected not to bring any experts, witnesses, etc. that could argue against the values I had stated, or say the items I was wearing in the pictures did not match the products in the evidence I produced. He had no reason not to believe me. The board member said he did not even want to hear from the witness, because the evidence I produced was substantial and there was no contest from the property manager beyond, "It's not a receipt." The board member ruled in my favour for the full amount that we discussed for each item at the hearing, and I received the order stating such a week or so later in the mail. On my way out of the hearing, I asked the landlord what they were going to do. He said they had no interest in fighting it and would be getting the cleaner to pay for it. A week or so later, I received a check in the mail from the cleaner. This was a few months ago. The check cleared and the matter is resolved. Thanks to everyone that offered their advice and comments in the other threads. Well, I think that's where I'm going to leave today's episode, guys. I know it's 5 minutes shorter than normal, but this was a huge story. And may I say, tomorrow we might just be doing some tree law. So stick around for the next episode of Legal Advice. It's going to be a good one, guys. Tell me what you thought about this big old saga of a story. I'd love to know what you think about it down in the comments. And as always, this has been Markee. I hope you had a good day, night's sleep, whatever you've been up to, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!